Okay, hi everybody. We're going to make beef tips for Heather today. And so I am doing this for all my friends who are dealing with the coronavirus and are on quarantine. So I have some of the ingredients laid out down here. So, and Tia will tilt the camera down for us. Thank you. Now, normally when you make beef tips, you use either sirloin steak or you use tenderloin tips. The tenderloin tips are what's left over from the tenderloin when the butcher cuts it. Because we're having such interesting times right now in the world, I was unable to find either beef tips or sirloin tips. Now, sirloin tips are usually cheaper, and so I could have gotten some sirloin to cut up, but again, there's nothing left in the stores except for ground beef and a lot of different steaks. So I am going to do something terrible here. I'm going to take these steaks and cut them up into beef tips. Now, I know that there are a bunch of people out there right now that are screaming, oh my God, you cannot take a beautiful steak like this and cut it up for steak tips. But you know what? My friend wants to learn how to make beef tips, so we're gonna do this. And that's just what you have to do when you're dealing with things like the coronavirus. No! Can just imagine that there are a whole bunch of people who are just extremely distraught that they see me cutting up this poor defenseless steak. Okay, so put the temperature on a little above medium. Use my favorite oil here, which here is olive oil. Give it just a couple minutes to heat up. Okay, now we're just going to brown the meat. Which will take a couple minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to pull out all the meat quickly. And I want to work some flour in with this oil. That'll be the base of the gravy. Once we're close to being done. Oh. And I know some people might say something about me putting cooked meat back on a raw meat table, but all this meat's going to get cooked again, so I'm okay with it. Now, turn the heat down a little bit. I tell you, whenever I make beef tips, I never end up with as much gravy as I want, which is disappointing, but what are you going to do? This is 4 cups of water, And before I put the meat in, I'm just gonna try to get all the clumps to break up a little bit. And I will add the meat back in. And while I wait for that to come to a boil, I will add a tablespoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of cumin, and a 1/4 tablespoon of paprika. And salt and pepper to taste. Finally, I will add 2 of these doggone little bouillon cubes. Almost messed that up. But for some reason, I can never seem to peel very easily. There's one. And there's 2. Got a good stir. And we'll give it a second to boil. And now that we have boil, we'll take the temperature down to 3, so medium-low, on my 10-point scale here. Give it a cover. At this point, you know, the toughest pieces of beef will take about 3 hours to fully tenderize, and something as tender as these T-bones will probably only take an hour or so. So we'll come back then. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours. Most of our beef tip water is cooked down. I'll take the lid off from here, and I have started water for the mashed potatoes. Turn 2 of these into 2 of these. Heavily salt. And time for 20 minutes. My potatoes have been boiling for 20 minutes. Put a 1/2 cup of milk, pepper, and 2 potatoes. So I'm going to put 2 cloves of garlic in there. After this thing makes me a liar. There we go. And a 1/2 cup of mozzarella cheese. I'll beat this. The tips are pretty much ready. And my last shot will be of the plating. Okay, so garlic mozzarella mashed potatoes, heavily whipped. And then beef tips a la T-bone. Don't cry, everybody. Of course, you could add mushrooms to this if you want. Tia and I are not about eating fungus, so we don't. And then I made this off camera, but these are simply carrots, quartered and then cooked in a little balsamic vinegar, Italian seasoning, and then some olive oil. I hope this turns out well for you. And talk to you later.